Hello everyone, this is Contradiction Design. As you may or may not know, I use Blender and other programs to create characters and other 3D artwork. In this video, I'm going to show you the entire process of making this little tent scene. To make the tent, I've added a sphere and cut out a few of the planes on one side to make an opening. And then using a cylinder, I make the main tent pole. And now I'm using a curve to model the supports. Here I'm using a path and a circle to model the cross-sectional shape of the pole, and then duplicating the poles around the center to make more of them, but to keep them all as one object. Then using a modifier, I take out some of the excess detail so that my pieces don't have quite as many points to work with. Alright, now this is Substance Painter. So using Substance Painter is not necessary to do what I'm showing here, but it saves a lot of time because you can just slap these textures right onto the model, and with minor adjustments you can make them pretty good really fast. You could build all of these textures that I'm showing here within Blender, but it takes a little bit more expertise and quite a bit more time. So for each of these pieces, I bring them into Substance Painter, add a material, tweak it a little bit, and then export the material to bring back into Blender later. And this little clip here shows my favorite part of Substance Painter. You can see how many times you can swap out materials and change settings really quickly to preview what a final material might look like. Doing something like this in Blender might take significantly longer. So here I've added a leather material, and now I'm adding some stitching just to make it look a little more worn and a little more unique. Alright, I've exported all the materials to a file where I can grab them in Blender. So basically each one of these I can just click on the model that they were meant for and then add them to the shader, and they mostly come in how they looked in Substance Painter. Now I'm making the scene fit my camera a little better by extending the ground and adding some variation in the height of the ground to make it a little more interesting. Now back in Substance Painter, I'm going to add a ground texture and a few other texture paints to be a good base for the soil, some grassy areas, a rock path, and then a little bit of like straw underneath the tent. Substance Painter obviously allows you to apply a material to the entire object or paint various materials onto only certain parts of the object. Okay, so bringing back the ground texture and tweaking the material of the tent a little bit so that some of the light passes through it. Now I should be ready to start setting up some lighting. Here I'm adding a lantern that will hang inside of the tent, and this should make a lot more interesting lighting than just having everything outside. So here I'm using a glass shader and then subdividing it. This is kind of the top glass part of the lantern, and it'll look really cool with a light inside of it. Adding a little metal to the base of the lantern, and now adding a light inside. And now you can see how the tent shines the light through it. Okay, now to add a sky texture, I make a plane, and basically using shaders inside of Blender, I can make a whole bunch of tiny dots to represent the stars. And I can add more, I can make them appear randomly on the screen, and I can change the colors. Also adding a moon for just a little bit more interest. Okay, and then I decided to add some grass. So here I'm just painting on weight paints to show Blender where to put the grass. And then I'm adding grass using hair particles. And here you can see it playing with the color of the grass a little bit. And I noticed my scene was too dark, so I added a light in front of the moon to represent the glow of the moon. And then changed the shape of the grass a little bit, just for more interesting looks. Added a few more patches of grass right near the tent. So obviously this is a pretty simple scene. This is the end result here. Well, thanks for watching. There's a lot more to come with scenery. I just started learning this stuff. Future steps for this scene would include adding more details and maybe throwing in some of my characters. If you found this interesting, go check out my other videos and consider a like and sub. Thank you.